Welcome to Garden Sanity. I'm Laura, and today I'm tackling this Woody Lavender. Now, if you're new here, this is something that has happened over time. If you are a returning viewer, you know all about this. So this lavender was planted in 2014 when we had our landscaping done, when we decided we were getting rid of all of our grass. So these plants were planted 2014. They were probably about 1 year, 2 year old plants at the time. It's now 2023. I was never that good about pruning these back every year. I pruned them a little bit, but I never pruned them properly. And I have a video that I'll link to at the end, as well as below in the description area, of how to properly and easily prune your lavender. And these are lavender phenomenal plants. I'm in Zone 7, Southern New Jersey, and these stay evergreen, or as you can see, evergray throughout the winter months. But so much of the woody growth has happened, and it looks ugly. It's in full bloom, it looks beautiful. You don't see any of the woody growth, but every other part of the year, when it's not in full bloom, it looks like driftwood with some lavender on it. There are people that have left me comments and said they thought it looked beautiful, and you know, in a weird way, I guess it does, but you can see how much real estate it takes up in this bed. So my goal today is to keep one, make it look more like a topiary, and then remove all of this. So let's get started. So my supplies today are a handy dandy garbage can with a plastic bag already inside. And then I've got my garden kneeler in case I need it. You can turn the bench over and make it into a kneeler. I've got some short-handed loppers, or I don't know if you call them short-handed loppers. They're just shorter. I got these from Gardener's Supply last year. I bought these and I love them. They're heavy duty and they really are sharp. And then I've got my really sad looking, but they are clean, even though they don't look it, my Fiskars loppers, my hand pruners rather, and then my gloves. I love these gloves. They're nitrile on one side and cloth so they can breathe on the other. And then handy dandy water. You got to keep hydrated, especially in the spring when you're getting back into the swing of things of gardening. So the first step, I'm going to set the camera up and I'm just going to start removing all of this growth. You see on the right here, that's a blue star juniper, but that's lavender, and it just curves all the way around in the front. That's candy tuft, tete-a-tete daffodils, and this all looks gorgeous in the summer. I'll put a little video up so you can see how beautiful it is. I mean, it's stunning, right? But, you know, the rest of the year it's looking kind of sad. You see all this wood. All this has to come out. So you can see all the weeds, and it's just spread so much over time. I want to take back some of the real estate in this garden bed. So first I'm going to cut all of it away, and then I'm going to leave myself with this guy, and we're going to clean him up and prune him a little bit. Wow, look how big that guy is. This may seem harsh, but it's such a difficult project for me in some ways, because I absolutely have loved the way the lavender's bloomed over the years. I'm still not sure what I'm going to put here until I see what it all looks like cleaned up. I may put some lavender back, but the best way to tackle this is just to do it, and then you can't worry about it later because it's done. I have no idea what the roots are going to look like underground. In other words, when I'm digging this out from the ground, is it going to be big root system, small root system? No idea, because all of this spread was above ground. So it's not like this. Lavender is not a spreading plant. It's just that what happens is the wood starts growing along the ground if you don't cut it, and it just kind of finds some sun. You know, if the wood feels like it's in shade, it's going to just spread around to get some sun. It's actually a good thing, I guess. I'm just trying to make myself feel better because I didn't take good care of these guys. Let's see. Whoops. And when you're doing this, make sure you don't step and slip over these lumps that you're left with. Boy. Wow. What a mess. I'm not talking about in here. I'm talking about the mess I'm leaving on the pavers. But that's what a broom is for. This is quite amazing. I know the candy tuft is going to miss the lavender a little bit because it gave it a little bit of shade in the summertime. So whatever I do choose to plant here, whether it is more lavender or something else, I'm going to make sure that it does give it a little bit of shade in the heat of the summer. Wow. Okay. I'm telling you, this feels so satisfying at the same time. It's like I'm finally doing it. Yeah, look at all this grain. That is all weeds. Okay, more removal. Wow, some of this is probably going to be a little too thick for even these pruners. It's amazing. Although it is dead wood, so it's kind of hollow. It's not going to do too, it's not going to give the pruners a problem. I just don't know how strong I am. You know, that's a factor. Oh my goodness, look at this guy. Wow. Normally, I like to clean as I go, but this is just feeling so good to me. So I'm just making one giant pile for myself over here. And we just will hope that there's no huge wind that comes by and does everything in. Wow, look at all this. Oh, some of it landed in the garbage and most did not. Wow. And by the way, I mean, if I wanted to, I could just probably break these off. I mean, look at that. I just did it. So, of course, I split it, but it's definitely dead wood. There we go. All right, so I basically have everything trimmed down. One or two to get here. And of course, I'm going to keep tripping over these stumps. That's going to happen repeatedly. Now I'm left with this thing. All right, before I do that, I think I'm going to do some quick weeding. So that'll make me feel better too. Oh my goodness, all of this is like that. Wow. Yeah, a lot of this is that kind of weed that just, yeah, I'm going to need to get my digger out. So I might do some of this later. Got some dandelions in here, so I want my dandelion digger, which I don't have with me at the moment. But yeah, look at this. Wow, this is crazy. So what you're looking at now, there is the other foundation bed, just to give you some perspective. So this is what I want to plan to keep as a topiary. So what I'm going to do, pardon me for any shaking on the camera. So what I want to do is I want to clean off some of this stuff down here and see if I can kind of trim this away to maybe somewhat look like a really, really nice topiary plant. So I'm gonna come down here and just take all of this growth off. And you know, it is a little sad because you do see some new growth on some of the edges of these dead stems, but I'm done. You know, said I was gonna do this, I gotta do it. Yeah, down here I see that it actually already split. That's not healthy for the plant. can see all the leaves that I tried to get up yesterday, but you can see how they just accumulate down here as well. All right, so this I'm going to take off. So to make it into my version of a topiary, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove any thin stems and just keep these thick guys. Boy, am I making a mess. All right, and this guy. All right, so already you can see that looks better. I'll get my larger loppers to knock that down a little bit. Let's see, that looks good. I think I will take off this part. Let's see what else looks dead. This guy. Of course, you can't see that too well. And then this guy is dead as well. So I'll take him off. That's what he looks like. Just, you know, more dead things. And of course you get tumbleweeds of hydrangeas everywhere in my garden because I leave them for winter interest. Now I'm also going to just, because they're already dead, you can either snip off or just remove any of these. They almost look like little sticks that also dry on the plant. And so I will do that as well because those don't have any decent growth on them. I think I'll take that off as well. It's kind of satisfying just flinging stuff. Oh, what will the neighbors think, right? All right, so these guys are dead stems. Let's put these here. I'm going to have to clean again. This is a dead stem. That's dead. That's a dead one. All right, and then there's some under here that are dead. These are, again, these little tiny twig guys. There we go. Yeah, let's take this guy off too. He seems dead. Now, yes, the wood's dead, but also you will get new growth. You see this new growth that comes from it, but all of this has been dead. So what's going to happen, and what my hope is to keep this and just have it sort of be a topiary, a modern one. You know, it's not just growing up straight, it's just kind of got some modern stuff happening. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, let me clean some of this up, and then we'll see what it looks like. So now it's cleaned up a little bit better. I still have some weeding to do. That's for another day. Today is all about this. So this is going to be my modern topiary. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim it back a little bit. Obviously not to the dead wood because that's a disaster, but I am going to give it just a little bit of a haircut. And that's all I'm really going to do with it. I think it'll be, you know, on its way this year, and it should look really nice. Once it's in bloom, it's going to be nice and big like it's been in previous years. I'm not going to take the stumps out today because I don't have dirt handy to replace it with. I don't want to leave holes, and then next thing you know, somebody falls in it, and that wouldn't be good. So anyway, those stumps will come out obviously, but for now I'm just going to give this a very light trim. And I've got my handy dandy bucket to throw all the refuse in. No, I'm not putting preen down. It's just the handy dandy bucket that I use. So I'm just giving it a very light trim. So nothing is really starting, you know, I can't really see. This growth is from last fall. But before you know it, in I'd say about a month, maybe sooner, the way that our weather's going, it's finally warming up. You know, we had mild temperatures all winter, and then it started to get down into the 20s in March. What's really nice about pruning this is I can see when I'm pruning these leaves and stems, there is green, so it's nice that despite all the dead growth, as you can see, that it will still have some really pretty flowers. And this is one way of saving it. Now, someone asked me, why don't I just take cuttings of these plants and then I'll have the same exact plant and I can just replant it? Well, two reasons. One, I don't know if that's what I want to plant here again, and I already have 3 more lavender plants in the back, and I have more lavender plants over there. So I'm not at a, if I throw all this away, I'm not at a loss for getting more cuttings if I want to do that, in fact. But I'm not sure what I want to do yet. Part of me maybe wants to plant more lavender. I don't know. So let me finish this up. Bring my bucket over here. There we go. So I'm just doing a very light trim. Nothing fancy on these at all. Like I said, I don't want to go down into the wood, but I do want to just give these just a little bit of a trim. I wasn't going to keep this back branch here, but I kind of like the way it looks. We'll take that off. And it kind of comes right up to the edge here of the front steps. So I think that looks good. So this is really all I'm going to do to this. Not much of anything. I mean, I already hacked the heck out of it, didn't I? So there is my lavender topiary. Now, I still have the other side to do. I also have a mess to clean up. So I'm going to leave the mess for now, which is very unlike me, but I'm going to take you over to the other side because it's not going to be exactly symmetrical. There is a plant over there that I'm looking at that's I want to do something similar to, but it's not exactly going to be right across. But your front beds that are on each side of your entrance don't necessarily need to be exactly symmetrical. They don't even need to be symmetrical at all. I've got knockout roses over there. I have winter heath over here. You know, both beds have an ornamental maple, both beds have euonymus, but there are differences. So I'm not that concerned about things no longer lining up anymore. So these are the other lavender phenomenals, and you can see over time, because they grew so far in to the pavers here, that the pavers got kind of dirty. So that's going to be a power wash project. But I think what I want to do is I want to take all of this off. I want to keep this as the topiary. So again, it's not going to be exactly symmetrical, but this looks like the best one to pretend it's a topiary. And then all these guys are going to come off. And I'm going to move the camera again so you can actually see what they look like. This bed's a little bit more of a mess because I haven't cleaned underneath the ornamental maple yet. So this is going to be quite a job. But let me at least remove all of the rest of the lavender I'm not keeping so that we can take a better look at this guy. The key is to hope I don't step on any of these stumps. It's hard to see with all the leaves. In case you're wondering, this started out as 3 plants back in 2014. Looks like a lot more. And I did cut that back in the fall because it was just jutting out too much into the sidewalk area. All right, so that is sort of what the topiary is going to be. Do you see how woody all of that is? That is what I'm going to be taking out. I'm telling you, this is so satisfying. Wow, that is quite a difference. That gives me a ton of real estate, as I like to call it. Again, whether or not I decide to put lavender, I'm not sure. I need to see this whole bed cleaned up and empty before I decide. And you can see in the back, there's some weeds there. And boy, there's almost probably 2 inches of the ornamental maple leaves, the dry hay looking thing I got to clean up. All right, so here's a close-up of what I'm going to call the topiary. And this is a side view. And you can see it kind of goes towards the front. The stems sort of lean a little bit as they go down. But I decided that this is going to be the one I'm going to call a topiary. Now I'm going to go in and do what I did to the other one. And I'm going to take out some of the spindly stems, just try to tidy it up a little bit. And then I'll give it a little trim just like I did the other one. I'll tell you what's nice about this kneeler seat is you can sit on it and you don't have to have your backside on the cold pavers like I did at the start of the video. Now again, a lot of these things can just even be pulled off. I mean, there's the, they're just sticks. So it's, if they feel like they readily pull off, I'm just pulling them off. If they seem like I need to prune them off, I'll prune them off. And again, this is all dead wood, but new growth still comes out from the ends of it. New growth will never come from the parts of the plant that is way down. That dead wood is dead wood. Now, the other one, yeah, I think I'm going to take this front branch off. What is that going to look like? That's a lot. You know what? I think I'll take this low one off. That's what I'll do. Let me get the loppers. If I take this low one off, that's not too bad. Even though both of these are not in the same exact spots on each side of the front entrance, I want them to look somewhat similar. And boy, they look, they look a little sad not having anything else around them, especially this guy, right? I mean, doesn't he look sad with all the dead leaves that I have to still get up? Now, I'm going to, because I haven't even cleaned up this bed, I don't have to be that nice and neat with pruning this back a little bit. Now, in terms of I was going to say your regular lavender. In terms of your lavender that's not woody, your nice lavender you're taking care of, you can prune it a little bit in the spring. Especially, of course, if you didn't prune it in the fall. I give mine a really good pruning in the fall, and then I'll see how it looks in the spring, but I usually don't touch it in the spring. I let all that new growth start and come in. But if you've got some woodiness you're looking at that you want to sort of trim out, you can do that too. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is you can prune your lavender in spring or fall. I'm in a mild climate, so I was able to do mine in the fall. If you are, say, in New England, you're probably going to want to do it more in, say, August or September at the latest, since your temperatures tend to get colder more quickly and you get frost more quickly than I do down here in zone 7. All right, a couple more stems down here. I promise you, Lavender, that I am going to make this garden look so nice, and you're going to have new friends, and you are going to be so happy. You really are. There we go. I'll take that part off too. All right, I think that's basically it in a nutshell. Okay, that's it. Now let me clean up some of this and then I can show you what each side looks like. Okay, so I'm still doing cleanup. I mean, look at all this I've got to do. It's kind of a mess, and this is all what was taken out. That's a lot. But here is what this side now looks like. A lot of room. And then across the way, this is what the other topiary looks like in an uncleaned bed. Just please realize I got to clean that. So here is, can't quite get both of them in this shot without knocking myself into the daffodils right behind me in the center bed. But there you can kind of get a sense. One is a little bit, the left one is a little bit further front than the one on the right. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So there you have it. I've taken out all the lavender. This bed, I've got to clean up all the leaf detritus underneath and then remove all these stumps and replace them with dirt. And then over here, same thing. I've cleaned the bed up, but I just got to remove these weeds and then remove the stumps as well. So I did it. I did it. I've turned these into topiary, and let's hope that it looks really nice. And this is going to be a fun little project now. Got to decide what I want to plant here. So I think this looks really, really pretty. It's my modern lavender topiary. And then of course you can see what the other side looks like over there. So watch this video next. This is how to prune your lavender the easy way. And I make it easy, and so we all must do this. Don't let it get woody. And then the other video is how this lavender phenomenal variety looks in the summertime, which is absolutely stunning. So it should give you some inspiration. And until next time, happy gardening.